mute your computers.
Access so she can record the Spanish language.
You need to mute your.
Access so she can. It's me.
Oh.
No, you're good.
I think we're
You're good.
okay.
Why am I still?
I have it open just so I can see if there's hands up for public comment. But it's. I believe I didn't connect. Yeah, my speaker, my microphone, my camera are all off. Are off. Yep. Okay.
You'll be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Recording. is good.
Nope. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna just get rolling. So welcome, everyone. We're getting started at 6:36 on July 12th. Chair Maite Aturi is out on vacation. We're all hopeful she does not join the Zoom and actually enjoys her vacation. Mari Carmen, can you please tell folks about the Spanish interpretation?
Sí, si alguien quiere interpretación en español, sí, por favor puede en la parte de abajo donde está el globo y pedir, escoger español para motivos de interpretación. Gracias.
Thank you. I'm going to take roll because I usually would, but I'm going to do it anyway with Maite out. So Councilmember Lombard.
Present.
Councilmember Reyes.
Present.
Councilmember Alcaraz.
Present.
Councilmember Winders.
Present.
Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Chair Aturi. Not present. And Vice Chair Hardiman, I am here. I am obviously I'm running this meeting in Maite's absence. I'm going to do a lot of reading, but I will get us through. So I'm sorry if it's stiff. I want to invite the council to participate. Kindly ask you to allow all to make motions in seconds, take equal turns, so we have equal participation. We are all finding this out right now. Well, we've known it for a while. Reminder, this is a hybrid meeting. We apologize for any tech issues. Those are out of our control. We are being broadcasted online on Facebook and Sonoma TV. I do want to make sure everyone knows that there are allocated times for agenda items. I am going to keep time and do my best to keep us on schedule with those. I want to thank KSVY for broadcasting and the tech support, Lynn Marie for minute taking. Thank you to SVUSD for facility use. And thank you to our interpreters, Carlos and Dasha, and also Ariel for stepping in for Karina, who's also not feeling well. One other thing I am going to throw out here before we get going, we are going to push the group norms conversation to next month since we don't have Karina or Maite. All right, so first we have approval of minutes. Are there any edits or corrections that council has?
Yeah, there's just one little one. The community picnic is on 12, and it has 2 minutes each, but just so you know, they sent a PowerPoint out, so it's probably gonna be more than the 2 minutes. It may need to be moved as its own item. I don't know.
Oh, for today.
Yeah, it got sent out later.
Okay, I'm well with norms going out, we'll have time.
Okay,
Do you have any comments or edits for minutes from last?
no,
No, okay,
sorry, thought we were on agenda.
No
I jumped
problem.
ahead. My
no problem.
apologies.
Does someone want a motion to approve the minutes?
Mari Carmen Reyes make the motion to approve the minutes.
And a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving forward. So we are moving to public comment. We take council and public comment on all items on the agenda. Times change depending on number of raised hands per item. We'll first take in-person public comment followed by Zoom participants on Zoom. Please use raise hand feature to be recognized. We'll give you 2 minutes. I will count you down. If you're here, please line up for public comment. I do want to remind that public comment is for items not on the agenda. And one thing I do want to remind everyone as well that it is public comment and also for us as a council to stay to agendas on the item or items on the agenda during presentations. So with that said, we can open to public comment.
Hello.
Hello.
So my name is Victor Ferrer. I am the director of Grupo Folclórico Quetzalén or Folclórico Mexican Dance Group here in Springs and El Verano and Agua Caliente. And I just came to say thank you to the MAC because a few months ago, we got the support of this group and we were presenting to community free dance concert. And we were celebrating Dia de los Niños, Children's Day. And we got at least 100 toys that with money to this group were paid. And then after the concert, the children that were present, they received a toy at the end of the show. And they were really happy about it. And I just want to say thank you. And I hope in the future you can still support our folklorico group. We offer this program for free for the community. We've been doing it for the past 15 years and it's offered for students K to 12. So muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? No, I do see we have one online.
Just give me one moment because my timers are doing 2 hours instead of 2 minutes. Oh.
Right, yeah. It's not gonna fly.
Okay, next we have Kathy King. Kathy, I am going to, it looks like, Karina, are you able to give me back host duties because I am not able to unmute? Okay, so Kathy, I am going to allow you to speak and you will have 2 minutes.
Let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, Kathy King. I'm the Executive Director of Sonoma Overnight Support. And I just wanted to let you all know that we are going to be opening the Sonoma kitchen on 17400 Highway 12, Unity Kitchen. We are starting construction this week. We're very excited and it's going to be open to everyone in the Springs. We provide 300 meals a day now, both for people that are homeless, hungry, and food deprived. So we're looking forward to being a member of the MAC and also giving more services to the community with a bigger facility and also with more hours and more involvement in the community. So I hope that I can continue to give you updates, or if you want a full report later on, I'd be glad to do so. Thank you for this opportunity.
All right, thank you, Kathy. All right, any other public comments? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're moving on.
Sorry,
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes,
Sorry. Thank you, Joe. Just real quick. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm not feeling well, but I will say this in Spanish and then briefly in English. Para nuestra comunidad de habla hispana, queremos hacerles la invitación para conectarse mañana a nuestra charla comunitaria. Estaremos ofreciendo información sobre servicios a nivel condado que ofrece el condado de Sonoma. Para nuestra comunidad indocumentada, estará con nosotros la administradora del condado, Cristina Rivera. También tenemos representantes del Departamento de Servicios de Salud y Servicios Humanos, al igual que la Junta de Desarrollo Económico. Los invitamos, es mañana de 6 a 7 a través de Zoom y Facebook Live. So that was just a quick announcement for our Spanish-speaking community. We have our charla comunitaria tomorrow from 6 to 7 on Zoom and Facebook Live. We will be providing information on countywide services to our undocumented community. CAO Rivera will be on, as well as representatives from Human Services, Health Services, and the EDB. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, are there any public announcements from council?
Yes, Mari Carmen Reyes, as representative of my my job at the Sonoma Valley Community Health Center, event coordinator for the back to school event. We would like to announce that the back to school health fair will be on Saturday, August 5th from 10 in the morning to 1 p.m. at Altamira Middle School. And our goal is to provide 500 backpacks. So we are still looking for monetary donations for the rest of the month of July. And if you're an organization that's interested in hosting an information booth, please also reach out. I will provide the information on Facebook as well. Thank you. Solamente rapidita, se lanza la invitación en la comunidad a la feria de regreso a clases, que será el 5 de agosto de 10 de la mañana a 1 de la tarde. La meta es proveer 500 mochilas con útiles escolares y recursos. Aún estamos pidiendo donaciones monetarias, así que sí, voy a compartir la información para donde nos puedan contactar. Muchas gracias.
Anything else? Nope. All right, moving on. We do have 2 vacancies, one for an SVCAC seat and also an alternate seat here on Springs Mac. So anybody listening or here in the audience, urge you to apply and join us up here. All right, moving on to Supervisor Susan Gorin's update.
Great to be here in person. Thank you all for being healthy and showing up tonight. I'm showing up, but I'm not necessarily healthy. I went to visit my grandchildren last week, and guess what? Germ rats. So I've come back with a cold. Had a great time with them, however. Just very, very briefly, I think the last time I spoke with you might have been before or just after the board's budget hearings, where we approved a budget in pretty quick fashion. And I was able to announce that, yes, we got funding for Larson Park. Well, the Christmas continues because thank you to our state electeds. They included $1 million for Larson Park. And I think maybe also $1 million for Maxwell Park in the state budget process. And we've been asking them for earmarks for a number of years. So I'm so grateful for their support for those 2 projects. And they also had an earmark for wildfire, the Good Neighbor, Good Fire Collaborative regarding prescribed fires. So I need to thank them very much, but it raises the question, okay, we have a lot of money to think about. And we are going to move forward on the request for bids for Larson Park pretty quickly. But the bad news for the community is that we expect that the construction season will be next summer. So the park will not be able to be used by the Springs Mac and the community during the summer construction season. The good news is, yay, we can move forward with the renovations that, yes, I let them know, Celeste, you want to cut that ribbon for the new bathrooms. So that's been communicated.
hotties.
And so that's good, but there are a number of other projects that we've been working on, thanks to all of your work. We're, I believe tomorrow I have a Friday, I have a conversation with Caltrans about our meeting that some of you participated in a couple of weeks ago. So we'll figure out how that intersection is moving forward. Donald Street Gap continues to be a priority from redevelopment long time ago. So we're working on that. And the Sonoma Valley multi-use trails, I'm hoping maybe we can get a segment completed before I leave office. So there are a number of really important projects for the Springs and Sonoma Valley, and I haven't quite figured out how much money is going to which project, but it's a good thought process, how we can really focus on the needs of the community. I want to alert you to the fact there's been a number of conversations regarding the concept floating around shared services between the city and the county. This has been a conversation that I've engaged in with former Mayor Logan Harvey and former city manager Kathy Capriola. So it's been a long time coming, but we were waiting for some changes to happen on the Sonoma City Council to bring some stability. New council, new city manager. Before we moved forward with that conversation, we are now talking about sort of not assuming solutions, but taking a step back and engaging the community on an assessment of the needs of the community. And I know I've talked with Joe and now Mark, and I'll continue to think about how we engage the community. Is it a community meeting with Spanish translation? Is it small focus groups? Is it a community survey online? Maybe all of the above. Now is a good opportunity to take the pulse of the community because we're coming out of 3 years of COVID, shutdown, pandemic, challenges with mental health. And as the city and the county is moving forward on general plan updates, and the Sonoma Valley Regional Service Hub will be opening the doors maybe October or November. What are the needs of the community? What are the perceptions? What are the realities? And so I'd love to have your thoughts, maybe at the next Spring SMAC meeting, on what does community engagement look like and how focused is it? Is it just the Springs and the city? Is it all over Sonoma Valley? I don't know yet, but I'm just asking the questions. Certainly the business community and the folks in the city of Sonoma. I know Mark has said he's been pinged with a lot of folks asking the same questions, and you may have as well. So it's not on the agenda tonight for conversation. I just wanted to alert you that we're starting to think about what that looks like and how we might move forward with community engagement. And I think that on yesterday's board meeting, what prompted this conversation was we had a good sharing among all of the districts, because each district does have a small amount of money to consider district formation within each of the districts. The river area is a little bit ahead of us in hiring a consultant and community engagement. They also don't have a city, so annexation and shared services not necessarily part of the solution. But you could go on to the Board of Supervisors agenda yesterday to review what, in a paragraph form, a little snapshot, what each of the districts is thinking about doing. So trying to assess the needs of especially the unincorporated communities and how we meet the needs of the unincorporated communities. It's not just about roads and emergency preparedness. It is real services. What are the needs? So now's a good time, and I'd love to make sure that everybody has their thinking cap on to help us answer those questions and provide some suggestions on community outreach. So thank you so much. I know that The Office of Equity also is moving forward with community engagement to understand what language access means. Thank you to our translators here tonight. And so there will be a number of engagement efforts moving out into the community. So thank you for being attempting to provide a voice and a gathering place for the community to come together. This is so important. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council?
I know this is a alternate viewpoint, but what if we had a meeting with an English translation instead of a Spanish translation? Because-
Always interesting. And so I would encourage you not to have the community conversation right now
No, I know
because
that.
it's not on the agenda.
Mhm.
But think about that, what that looks like.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can put it on your agenda for next month or the following month and just put your paper full of ideas.
Okay,
Perfect.
in terms of access.
I have a quick question. About when, I know it's hard to sort of get out your crystal ball, but do you have an idea about when they'd be able to tell us when construction will, like a could start date for Larson Park?
I think we can probably get you the date, but not yet because it hasn't been set out to bid.
Yeah,
And so the negotiation of the contract then would specify the start date and the stop date. As Joe can testify, start date is easier than completion date. And when you would have access to the park, I think the scale of development in Larson Park is different, smaller than Maxwell. And so it's weather dependent, which is why I specify probably is going to happen during the summer.
okay, so we're looking like once the bids go out and a bid is accepted, then we'll be looking at getting some kind of at least target month for.
And
when
I
it
would
would
think
start.
that would be true. I would think, just to be safe, maybe April through October, just when you want to use the
Okay,
park.
no. Yeah, right, okay, thank you.
All right, any public comment? All right. I'm gonna do my little countdown. Anything else? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving on. Love it. Mari Carmen, can you do one more quick just reminder about Spanish interpretation?
Sí, para los que nos están escuchando por el Facebook o por Zoom, si necesitan interpretación en español, si pueden ir a la parte derecha, en la parte de abajo y oprimir en el globo y escoger el idioma en español. Gracias.
Thank you. And thank you Supervisor Gorin for coming in person, chatting with us. All right, we now are going to have a presentation from the Economic Development Board.
I have a couple of slides, so do you want me to
Yeah,
wait or?
so through the chair, unfortunately, the monitors Bob was trying to fix them before we started the meeting and they have just broken. And I tried reaching out to him. So the Zoom people are going to be able to see your presentation and it will be on the recording, but we cannot get it in the room.
I wrote down notes just in case, so.
I know, yeah. Does he, I mean, they were flickering earlier. Oh.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they-
yeah, we're
the
having
cord wasn't
bigger
working.
issues with them, yeah.
And they were on when we started the meeting and then they both just turned off. So this is not something that I have expertise in. So as long as you, Lauren, have your presentation, you can still cue me on the slides and I will run it. I think that's the best we can do.
There were only 7, so we can keep it super easy.
Okay, give me one moment so I can pull it up and get it on the Zoom.
Yeah.
they were flickering earlier.
All right, I'm gonna make the call that we just keep moving along.
All right. So, the virtual world can see your presentation.
Sounds like a plan. My name is Lauren Cartwright. I'm the interim deputy director at the Sonoma County Economic Development Board. We can go to the next slide. The next slide kind of provides an economic overview. So there's a little infographic on there with kind of employment data and industry data. I did write down some key takeaways, so I'm happy to share that with you now if that works. We looked at some of the key census tracts around the Springs area, and it looks like there are around 674 businesses located in this area, yielding about 4,500 employees. Some of the key sectors that we looked at within the 674, look at retail trade, professional science and technical services, food service, healthcare, motor vehicles, and home furnishings. We also looked at some of the median gross rent data in the area, as well as some of the key annual household spending. It looks like the average median gross rent is around $1,793. So that's, I guess, they didn't give us a specific whether that was like a house or an apartment, but kind of looking at the median gross. We can look at that more specifically if you'd like. In addition, an interesting fact for the key annual household spending is it's mainly on travel, healthcare, and entertainment. So one data point that we found is that for all the commuters going in and out of the Springs area, around 68% are commuting solo in and out, whether they're going to and from work or running errands. So that can kind of tie to some of the higher spending in travel. Next slide, please, Ariel. So based on some of that data, we just looked at the industries, the employees in the area and the businesses. We thought we could highlight some different opportunities that could be available, specifically around industry diversification and also just developing your workforce. For industry diversification, I mentioned that the key annual household spending, one of those top areas was healthcare, which annually is the average of around $8,800 per household. So we think that there could be some opportunity to maybe have some healthcare businesses. If you're having folks that are going in and out of the area, perhaps trying to get healthcare services, maybe that could kind of contribute to some opportunities there as well. Another thought is also, I guess my colleague found this, that maybe as the median age of the county and region increases, and given the unincorporated location that you are in, perhaps ambulatory services could be an interesting opportunity for businesses in the area. With regards to developing workforce, Sonoma County has an unemployment rate that's nearly 1.5% lower than the average state rate. We thought that we've heard from a lot of businesses that because it's so hard just to retain employees or even source them in the first place, maybe there's an opportunity to utilize existing workforce funding to like upskill your existing workforce that you have. So there are great opportunities with the state, the Workforce Investment Board for Sonoma County, where you can plan to train your employees, perhaps upskill them, and maybe just try to really invest in your existing workforce. Obviously, there are positions that need to be filled, but maybe there's a way to kind of use it as a retention effort for the employees in the area. Also, feel free to reach out to us. The EDB is happy to help. We worked closely with Mark during COVID, just kind of as a clearinghouse for information. So if we can ever help with any workforce services, we're happy to do so. The next slide, please, Ariel. And this slide is just an infographic of everything the EDB does. So we help navigate the license and permitting process. If someone contacts us looking for a license info and it goes, they're opening a business in the town of Sonoma or the city of Petaluma or Glen Ellen, we try and just direct them to the right place to get the information. For the most part, if you ask us a question we don't know the answer, we will work our best to find the person who can actually answer the question for you. We have a program manager who focuses on workforce development funding. So if you have an employer who wants to utilize funds to upskill their employees, they can help work through the contracts with you, look at the best opportunity, try to figure out what's the best funding source that would align for that goal for you. And they call it, they're like on-the-job training programs. They aren't called grants, but essentially you can get state funds to develop your workforce, and it's not like a loan or anything like that. It just goes to the training of that employee. We also have a couple of staff who are bilingual, who are getting out in the community to different events to try and showcase our resources and just different programs that are out there. And we also have a program manager who focuses on data and research. So that person, they can pull different industry reports. So say you have someone who has historically had a hospitality business and they decide they want to go into like hospitality transportation, we can pull a report, say, okay, here's where hospitality is. If you want to go in this new venture, here are the different options. It looks like it could be a good opportunity to go into, a good network. It could be maybe try and find a different way to expand your business. So we can try to help analyze from that for anyone who contacts us as well. And then the next slide, please, Ariel. This is just a picture of our tiny but mighty team. There are 3 folks on our team who can help you out. So we have Christine Palmer, Marco Suarez, and Patty Andrews who can all help you in just whatever questions you might have. The next slide, please. This one focuses on the data center. So I touched on the different data tools that we could utilize earlier, but in addition to all the business services that the EDB does, we also publish a great deal of economic and regional reports every year to kind of help businesses stay current on economic trends affecting their industry. So we have a construction report, we have manufacturing, we have hospitality. Our department also hosts 2 economic forecast events per year. So we release quarterly economic reports kind of in between those. So you can really have a pulse on the economy all throughout the year, and also just provide that networking opportunity in person. We also do a lot of economic impact analysis. So we're kind of in the process, which I'll touch on the next slide, but for EDB 3.0, it's kind of like the next iteration of our department. We've historically always focused on business services and business assistance, but how can we really work with partners in the community to make those steps to pull everyone together? Because economic development is so much more than just helping a business figure out their license. How do you retain their employees? How do you help them find the best real estate spot? How do you just give them the advice that they need? How can we support the housing and community partners in the area to make sure that they're successful? Because if you think about residents, every resident could be an employee, they could be a business owner. Like there's quite a deal of overlap, even though residents and businesses are fairly set apart most of the time. So we try and create reports to just provide an overlook of that. Everyone's really excited for 3.0 in our department. Also, Ariel on current initiative slide. I don't know if I said that. But we're all really excited for this initiative and just to find different ways to partner, looking at different nonprofits in the area and how can we just work together to leverage each other's resources and not just duplicate each other's work. So in addition to all the business work that we do, the EDB also gets a lot of really special projects. So EDB 3.0 is what I mentioned earlier for the action plan, which is just our whole community approach to economic development, the economic impact analysis. An example, we have Restaurant Week that lives in our department. So we help orchestrate all of that. We help put the economic report out after that event. We do the Pliny economic impact in our department, but we're also trying to find a way to work with county departments to track the economic impact of specific decisions that are made in the communities. So whether it's the Sonoma Developmental Center, it's a great example. How can we work with the district to figure out what would that look like on terms of if there's jobs out there, or can we support the housing? Are there any developers that we know? Is there anything, how can we as economic developers contribute to that large scale project? So just trying to expand that program beyond just tracking the economic impact of an actual event. And then I will try to not go too far into the details, but broadband also lives in our department. I spent the majority of this week just right in the middle of a spreadsheet trying to do an analysis on broadband infrastructure implementation in the region. So that has been a big lift. It's very interesting. Never thought I'd be this excited about internet before, but so we're trying to figure out what's the best path forward to create that open access network in Sonoma County. How can we access all of this state and federal funding that's coming down the pipeline just to get access to all the different residents in the area, and trying to help guide the supervisors to make the best decisions they can about how we're going to access those funds and how we can kind of connect that network. So it's not like an easy, we don't just get $1 million and there's your project. This is going to be like many, many years coming, trying to figure out how we can build that network out. So that also lives in our department as well. And that's it for my presentation.
Thank you very much. Do we have question, comments from council?
Hello, I just had 2 questions on the presentation. The first being, just curious on the 1.7K for median rent. I was wondering where the data for those figures came from, whether it was census or something else.
We mainly use Esri Bow as one of our data systems, and I
Mhm.
believe they collect data from the census. I can try to figure out where that specific data point came from, but it's essentially an infographic they pull together with this software. So they look at census data, they look at, I don't think there's a really, I will say we've looked at sources for apartment and like average rent data, and I can't say that there's anything quite as credible as the census. So I'd be curious if they're just looking at expenditures for like living expenses, and maybe they're
Mhm.
building an average that way, but I can look into it if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And I guess in addition to that, is this data publicly available? Like, of course, excluding PII or like any personally identifying like information, or is it sort of semi-gated or just not available?
I would call it semi-gated. We pay for the program through our department, but if you call and ask us a question, we are happy to pull a report and print it for you and send it to you and everything
Awesome.
like
Thank you
that.
very much.
I have just one comment just on the broadband piece, which actually I'm really excited about too. Thank you for that. And I just urge you to remember unincorporated Sonoma County. I've been at a lot of meetings and roundtables and sessions about digital equity and folks talking about leveraging your city. We don't have a city to leverage. We're a small little piece of a county. So I just wanted to make sure, all of us unincorporated folks across the county are a part of that conversation.
Absolutely. I will say, I'll put a plug in if you want to tune in on August 1st. We have a fairly large item we're bringing before the supervisors to talk about open access network, proposed priority areas, and just kind of having that discussion on how we have a recommendation of about 15 or so areas. We're going to talk about the data we use to qualify those areas. One of them is this unincorporated or not? And we're trying to take this opportunity to look at how we can look at the county and use the county to leverage cities instead of cities to leverage the county. So I think it's kind of a good.
Perfect. Thank you. Do we have public comment? Oh, never mind. We still have.
I have a quick question. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. In terms of emergency preparedness and like the COVID or the pandemic, do you have any statistics of how the businesses in the Springs or unincorporated Sonoma Valley that actually were able to access like the grants and how many actually benefited from it? I would like to know a little bit more about that in case we do have like another pandemic or another emergency. Like how did our community businesses actually know about it and actually utilize them?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm going to write that down because I don't have all the information in my head, but it does exist. We have a platform that we launched in April of 2020. It's just like a customer relationship management system, but it's how we're tracking what we call just assists in the community. So we had categories that are typical for a startup entrepreneur, but within the last several years, we've created like a category for disaster and even power shutoffs or wildfire or winter storms or floods or COVID. So I can easily pull that data and we have it organized by district, if it's unincorporated or incorporated. And we have all the business level data as well. So I can pull that for you and send that out if that works. So I can connect with Ariel, the best method.
Yes, I have some questions about the business diversification work that you do. And so do you how do you perform or deliver that to new business entrepreneurs, and if you do some kind of advising for these individuals, or how do you drive that? Or and my other question is you kind of mentioned a little bit about the economic development planning, and how do you incorporate that into into the increasing a better economic growth in the Springs or in incorporated areas, and and my other question is regarding broadband and how is your department helping residents in the Springs? Is this about internet or how they get resources to have access to internet, or kind of how do they do it? How do they?
So I'm writing the questions down so I can.
Yes, through which agencies, or through what kind of who's the middle person that helps you do that?
I'll start with the first one. So our program manager, Marco Suarez, he's the primary bilingual person on our team. And he kind of goes out in the community. He goes to different networking events. I think he was at the community picnic a few weeks ago. So he tries to get out there and just meet folks where they are to try and tell them about our services. We are in the process of, we received an allocation of an ARPA grant. That's the short story. And we're using those funds to try and figure out how we can expand capacity, because there are so many communities that could use our assistance. I think the Latino Hispanic community is very significant in the county, but there's also so many other communities that need our assistance. So we're trying to figure out, as opposed to all of us falling on Marcos, how can we create that framework so we can hit every different area? I don't think it'll be, I mean, is it a game plan of, okay, you have 1 week a month that you're kind of focusing on a certain district or like a certain industry or anything like that, and just trying to look at some of the data. But right now he does a lot of outreach. He does a lot of just going to events. We facilitated a grant program a few years ago. Had a couple grant programs. And when we get the results of who has applied or who has received it, we narrow the data down to unincorporated and incorporated. We add district information, and we essentially send like a cold call email being like, hey, we helped facilitate this grant program, thinking that if you applied for the funding, maybe they could use our help. Like maybe we can figure out where they're at. Do you need more funding? Do you need workforce? So we kind of use that as an opportunity. And some of these programs, the businesses identify as a certain race or ethnicity. So we just make sure we include something in there about, if you are looking for language assistance, you can try to contact this program manager, or please let us know. So that's one way that we're trying to reach out to folks who might not know about us otherwise. I know that Marcos partners with a lot of different nonprofits in the area. I don't know all of them, but I know La Luz is one of them. I think is Red Latinx, the hub that might be out here. He's working with that agency as well. That's in Santa Rosa. He's trying to find different nonprofits in all the different districts to work with. When we did one of our grant programs, we essentially signed up with 9 different technical assistance centers all throughout the county, who were like, here's a place where you can come to a computer and you can apply for this funding. We can try to answer questions. So it's almost like building a network, and hey, we're all in this together to share information, trying to simplify application processes. Let's see. I touched on most of those. And then before I touch on economic development planning, with regards to assisting residents in the Springs and internet access. So he partners with a lot of nonprofits to try and meet new people and figure out who could use the assistance. Always keeping an eye out. We get permit notices about new businesses that are coming out. So if we get a permit notice, we try and just reach out saying, hey, we're here if you need anything. We pretty much only get them for unincorporated, but sometimes there's a trickle effect. For the internet access piece, our department received a grant from the Affordable Connectivity Program. So we worked with a local designer to kind of build collateral that's regionally specific. So we have 2 years to put that collateral and programming out. So we have tables at the fair. We are connecting with different organizations to try and figure out, can we come teach your staff about this program? Can we, I mean, it's not, this is the interesting piece of broadband, because you have the infrastructure and deployment bucket, but then you also have what we call advanced adoption, which is like, let us help you get discounts to the services that already exist. So that's what we were trying to do on one piece of it. I know that the Springs kind of overlaps in both. We're trying to get folks the access that they need through discounts, but also looking at the infrastructure that is needed as well. I think once we get direction from the board on proposed priority areas, that's going to create an opportunity to kind of have maybe work groups in those areas, or just to try and have more community feedback saying, hey, this is on our radar, this is going to happen. We're trying to find a way. We don't have a timeline, but we just want you to know that it's happening. If you have any feedback or thoughts during this whole process, we've worked with the county GIS team to try and submit data points. So for example, we were going through some of our initial design phase. They're like, oh, well, this area looks like it's served. And we were like, no way. People have been telling us for years that there's no internet access out there. So we went out of our way and we submitted 26,000 addresses being like, these are not getting the service that you say they're getting. So we're trying to kind of advocate a little bit and just say, please reassess your data. Please make sure that this is truly accurate. Is that going to answer part of your questions? And then the last one for economic development planning and for increasing growth in areas. So right now the EDB has an advisory board, which has 2 appointees from every single district. And that kind of advises us on a monthly basis. We present our programs to them, and that's how we've been kind of guided in addition to the supervisors. And what we're looking at in the future is to kind of create maybe a more collaborative effort that focuses on maybe pulling individuals from different industries or different types of businesses. So we could really get, it's not like you just have some folks from like, if you have two people from a certain district, I think that's effective, but can we also make it up? So you have someone from like a nonprofit, you have someone else in the public sector, really just trying to get every lens on economic development. So we're trying, that's the first phase of it. But the idea is that once we start with that collaborative piece, then we can try to work with the different industries involved. We can get more boots on the ground in different areas as well. I know we've talked about even just the broadband pieces. Someone needs to come to a MAC meeting like every now and again, just to say, hey, broadband's there, we're working on it. Just give a little bit of update without them having to ask for us to come. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Perfect. Public comment? Looks like one online.
Just bear with me for one moment. Chair, what time limit would you?
2 minutes still.
So, Mario, I am going to allow you to speak. And you should be able to unmute.
Good evening. Can you hear me there?
Yes.
Awesome. Good evening. Mario Castillo, Springs resident. Thank you so much for this presentation. I find it very, very interesting. I just happen, I have one, I guess, I'm not sure if it's a comment or it's more of a general statement. And I'm, basically here to kind of share my interest or my concern in terms of how small businesses go about and accessing professional development and also awareness in terms of how to best treat employees in a equitable, particularly in terms of paying a living wage. And then also, how do you define a small business? We have here in the Valley a lot of individuals who have a small business, such as doing housekeeping, house cleaning, vineyard management, landscaping, like I said. And a lot of the times, this small businesses, in my experience of, being a member of this community for over 3 years, I have seen, a lot of unfortunate abuse, neglect, and lack of consideration, really. So just curious to know what's your thought on that, and whether you guys find that that's an area that is worth investing in and paying more attention to. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the work that you always do.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other public comments? Thank you so much for your time. All right, moving on to Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce. We will receive an informational presentation from Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce on economic growth and small business opportunities in the Springs.
Good evening. Mark Bodenhammer here on behalf of the Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce. I want to start off just by thanking Lauren and her team at the Economic Development Board, and to Susan and our other supervisors for funding that organization. We're really, really lucky to have that here in Sonoma County. They are an absolutely essential information resource for us at the Chamber of Commerce and organizations like ours all throughout the county. So great to have, and excited to see them out here in the Valley. So just a quick update on the Sonoma Chamber of Commerce. We are a small nonprofit organization. We have a budget of about $330,000, and we have been serving the Sonoma Valley community since 1909. We are unbelievably grateful to finally be back to doing things that a Chamber of Commerce is supposed to be doing. I've worked here for almost 6 years, and of that time, I think I've had a good 8 months where nothing's on fire and there's no deadly disease circulating through our community. And so stability and the ability to get together and plan with our members and with small businesses here in the community is just something I really took for granted before the chaos of the past few years. So we are finally back to having in-person meetings, gatherings, events, all kinds of celebrations and things like that. So want to introduce that to the Springs community. We are definitely here to support ribbon cuttings for new businesses that are opening up. We do in-person networking events. We've relaunched our Lunch and Learn series, which is aimed at informing people about topics that are of interest to local businesses. We have our Community Connections Breakfast, which is a high-level community issues topics breakfast. So we have speakers to come and talk about things. For example, last month we had someone, or 2 months ago, we had someone from the Hannah Center come to talk about that proposed development, because that's something that's going to impact everyone here. Do want to shout out to KSDY. Bob is somewhere in here. They come to those meetings and make sure there is a charge to attend those breakfasts, but they do live stream the speakers as they come up. That information is available to anybody in the community at no cost, and we're proud to continue doing that. One of the things that we are working on right now is organizing industry councils for the Chamber of Commerce. So businesses, they don't even have to be members of the chamber, but any business that is in certain fields right now, we have a retail group, a restaurant group. We've just started a housing, construction, and real estate group. The next one that we'll be launching is a health and senior services group. So industry professionals from those fields can get together, talk about partnership opportunities, talk about referring business, and making sure that all of the business that we have here, we're keeping in the Valley and not just going out to some larger agency over in Santa Rosa or in Napa County or something like that. We want to really just focus on how we keep the business here in the Valley. We would love to be more active here in the Springs neighborhood. It might be useful. I think that because there are fewer businesses here, there might not be as much participation in the industry councils, but we could actually put together a separate Springs Business Council that can just meet independently together and figure out ways that we can work together. And we would love to do more of the holiday programming. Karina's reached out to us to see if we can do some of the holiday sip and shop ideas. And so we're looking forward to bringing those things to you guys here in the Springs. Last thing I wanted to mention, we just recently updated our chamber logo, which for years only said Sonoma Chamber. It had lost the word Valley, and we've taken steps to do more to expand our services and our reach here in the Springs and other App Valley communities. When I arrived at the chamber, we were very hyper focused on the city of Sonoma. Our board was not diverse across a variety of different spectrums, but one of them was geography. It was all Sonoma residents and city of Sonoma residents, city of Sonoma businesses, and have made strides there. I'm really proud to have updated our board selection process so we can now address that. We have a much more diverse board. I think almost half of our board lives here in the Springs, so we'd love to see Springs-based businesses involved in the board and the planning level for the Chamber of Commerce. So last thing I would say is just please use us. We are a small team. There's only 2.5 on the team there at the Chamber of Commerce, but we have a great network of volunteers, organizations that we work with. We've really leaned into our partnerships with the nonprofit community and work really closely with all of those organizations. If we, Supervisor Gorin mentioned outreach with regard to annexation discussions, things like that. If there's ever topics of interest that you would like brought to the business community, we will always, do surveys, get information out about upcoming public meetings and things like that. We have a contract with the county and do a partnership for them. So don't feel like you're asking for a favor. We are here to help you. So thank you very much for the opportunity to come and address you today, and welcome any questions or thoughts, comments.
Thank you. Go ahead, Iris.
At the MAC picnic at Larson Park a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever. Marcos Suarez was there, and I had a conversation with him. He reminded me that there had been a group of local Springs businessmen, or men mainly, business people meeting at La Luz once a month, I think. I went to 1 or 2 of those too, just out of interest.
Was this recently or pre-COVID?
It was pre-COVID.
Okay, yeah.
And he's expressed interest in getting that going again. So
Great.
There's a link for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Marcos has been a great partner for the chamber, and have worked closely with him through his role at the EDB. So would love to engage in that discussion with him, and I'll definitely reach out to him to see what we can do to get that relaunched. We've almost had to rebuild the Chamber of Commerce in the last year or so, because we went into a mode of being reactive to all of the chaos that was going on in our community. And it was, every business had different needs, and I'm incredibly proud of the way that we operated. Our board, really, I saw a lot of chambers of commerce hunker down and take care of their members and themselves. Our board just told our staff that we had a blank check to go and take care of our community, that we needed to all get through this together. And I'm not the chamber, I'm proud of our community as a whole. If you take a look at other communities, a lot of business communities kind of got wiped out. And if you go up and down our corridor here, and throughout Sonoma Valley, there was much less business loss, and it's because of the people of Sonoma Valley. Everybody really locks arms and rallies together to support our businesses. So I will definitely reach out to Marcos and see if we can get that together. As we've learned organizing these industry councils, the ideas for how gathering in person is so different from a Zoom meeting. The creativity that flows, the partnerships that you see blossoming, and that just really unlocks a lot of economic potential for our region. So we're really happy to get into this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mark. And I don't think you have spoken about your very popular morning show that has been like a savior during pandemic. Finding creative and alternative ways to connect with the community while with isolation. Thank you. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Was it the Zoom, the COVID Zoom meetings, or a radio show that?
No, your very popular radio show.
Okay, yes. We do have a very popular radio show. Certainly my mom and Carmen's mom are two of our most famous listeners. But no, it's been a really exciting thing for us. So we have a weekly radio show on KSVY every Thursday at 11. We interview somebody from the business community. We also have a lot of nonprofit guests. In fact, the Community Health Center is our first regular guest that we have scheduled, because there's always such great stuff going on at their organization. So once a month we have someone on there. Would love to have somebody from the Springs MAC come and join us on there anytime that you guys would like. And anytime that you guys would like to come and participate in any of the industry councils, that's another opportunity as well. But yeah, every week, Thursday from 11 to noon, it is a really fabulous way to get to know the people in our business community. And we're so fortunate here. We have so many creative, interesting people with backgrounds that just blow me away constantly. People who are now, running a little food business that used to be in corporate human resources management, and hearing that transition, it's always fascinating. So we thank you to your team for your contributions to our show. It makes it a great opportunity for us.
Yep. This is good.
Yes. I have some questions about you were saying that you were trying to get a group of people that focuses on like the elder services for the elder, and like businesses most likely that will be catering for them.
Yeah.
So the people in Sonoma and people in the Springs are aging, so we are aging, and so therefore I would like to see that that groups forms, and it's very and it's beneficial for the community, because eventually we will need it. We need that for the people of Sonoma. Also, my other question is regarding business. Well, it's not question. It's not question. It's comment. As how is the Sonoma Chamber of Commerce, Sonoma Valley Chamber of Commerce, making accountable some people in the community that are taking advantage of their wealth and buying a lot of properties, and how is this that you can stop them from actually like making those business serve to the service of the community, or just not, or how can you help them be more proactive about it? And also, I was at that breakfast that you were mentioning for the Hannah, the person that showed at the Hannah.
Yeah.
I recommend that instead of making a plated breakfast, you make a banquet breakfast. Because I work at that place where you hold your meetings. So two of those questions. Well, my second question, yeah, if you can.
Sure. So first thing with regard to, property ownership, I understand it's certainly a growing concern in this community and something that is, top of mind for all things. We really have no choice as an agency that works with the city. We contract with the city, we contract with the county. We really can't, pick who we work with or don't work with. But what we do, the work that makes us most proud at the Chamber of Commerce and the work that we really enjoy doing is working with the small business owners and going, step by step through the process of starting and growing and evolving a business over time. And really that's where we put most of our energy. Our membership, if you take a look at it, over 80% of the businesses that are member, we have about 400 members, and over 80% are 3 or less employees. It's small businesses that join chambers of commerce. Usually it's the larger businesses that outgrow us and don't need our services as much. Often they stay involved as chamber members, but it's more of they're supporting us so that we can continue to help the little guys get started and grow. And that is 100% the thing that we're passionate about at the chamber and that we work really hard on. So while we can't pick who we do or do not serve, understand that where we put our energy and our emphasis is helping small guys so that we can level the playing field as best that we can and make sure that everybody has equal access to opportunities. With regard to the health and senior services, I think that you're exactly right. It is a big need for us already, and it's going to continue growing as a need in our community for a couple of decades. And it's going to be very interesting to see how our community evolves over the next 20 years. Because it's a growing part of our population. So we do have a number of businesses that are working in those fields, but again, getting those groups together so that they can network, share services, share resources, communicate amongst each other, figure out where the needs are. That's one of the things that we're really looking forward to doing. And we're hoping to, at the beginning of next year, do a health and senior services expo or fair for businesses ranging from therapy businesses, insurance businesses, certainly with the local nonprofit organizations that serve the health community and the senior community. So that's something that we'll be doing, obviously a free event that anybody in the community can come down to and participate in. So I completely agree. It's a great need in our community.
Perfect. Thank you. Unless someone has something urgent, I'd like to go to public comment so we can stay on time. Any public comment here? We do have one online.
Through the chair, time.
2 minutes still.
1 second. Okay, Mario, you should be able to unmute.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Mario Castillo, resident of the Springs and community activist here in the Valley. So I don't think that I had, I said in my previous comment that it was more of a statement and also a comment, and yet also maybe a question, and it was not addressed. But I sort of have the same comment or the same question for on this presentation as well. And it's really around my interest in terms of how the Chamber of Commerce is working closely with small employers, small businesses. How are they engaging them to provide them with training and skills, and also promoting employee rights and equitable and living wage that is so needed, and especially when you're taking into consideration that there's a huge percentage of there's a lot of businesses who are having a hard time retaining and gaining employees. So there's always that concern that I have, and I know that especially the city of Sonoma hires a lot of the people from the Springs, residents for the Springs, and the hospitality business, landscaping, and so I just wish that they whatever work that they're looking into doing, that they actually take that area seriously, and then they actually develop a plan, something that can be really targeting these areas that I believe will benefit everyone, have a more thriving and equitable and just community. Thank you so much.
So I'm just jump in and remind that it is public comment. If someone on council would like to ask that question, you can. If not, I urge you, Mario, to send those questions to Karina or Ariel, and we can possibly bring those back at a future meeting. So thank you for your comment. Any other public comment? Go ahead.
So just to touch upon that note, purely as a comment, there are other cities in Europe that do this, and it has been a very successful platform of an opt-in service for businesses to say that they are paying a quote living wage, which could be an incentive in future for folks to commit to as a group. I don't know if there's something in the works. If there is, great. If not, just a comment. It seems to have worked for London quite well.
Sure. So right now is a period of just kind of dramatic change in all of the hiring and workforce issues. Of course, as we are coming out of COVID, it's kind of just a wild ride watching it right now. I think to Mario's point, I would love to explore what we can do to kind of make employee-based programming and see what we can do for educational programs for people who are not the business owner or the manager, but see what services we can provide. And probably think partnering with EDB, they have a lot of great resources. So we're certainly willing to explore that. I love the concept. There are a lot of businesses here that take great pride in how they take care of their employees. I would absolutely support some kind of program that incentivizes and rewards businesses. A little placard program where we'd say, these are businesses that have agreed to, whatever the metrics are, we'll figure that out. But that they are, it's sort of a Sonoma Valley certified, employee dedicated business. I think that that's something that would make a difference for a lot of consumers with their choice making, and I think it would be a great way to encourage businesses. I'm always one to try to make programs where we incentivize the behavior we want rather than punishing the behavior we don't like. So would love to take a look at what we can do, and welcome input from Mario and others on what that might look like, because I think that there's a lot of businesses. There are certainly businesses that take advantage of people, and I'm aware of that. We're, as far as I'm concerned, let's do everything we can to throw the book at them. But the vast majority take immense pride in how they treat their employees and what they do. And I would love to find a program where we can reward that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. We are, I know I said this up top, but just a reminder, we are going to save norms and expectations for next month's meeting. We are going to move into some ad hoc updates, and just a reminder that there will be, the next few will be resolution items. So with that, we're moving to the Adopt a Road ad hoc. We're going to receive information. Oh, I don't have that. Do we want to take a break? We need to take, okay. Let's do 6 minutes. So we'll be back at 7:48.
By your watch.
Yeah, my watch is right.